Hey, what up, guys? In this one, we're going to go through my list of the top 10 Bay Area golf courses that I have personally played. It's been raining quite a bit, and I haven't been able to get on course to create content, so you're getting a podcast at the normally scheduled upload time. That being said, let's jump right into it. So first off, let's talk about how I rank these golf courses. I have, some random categories that I have picked that I thought were important. From a 1 to 5 scale, I have things like track layout, the value, course conditions, pace of play, practice facilities, and then non-golf facilities. And I have another thing called GP Fun Factor, where basically, it's a subjective rating where maybe that day I was having a really good round, or I was in good company, or the pace of play was really great and I had a good time. And that's a 1 in 5 scale that I use to break tiebreakers. Kind of have an objective total and then like a grand total, with a GP fun factor being the tiebreaker. So let's get into the top 10 list. Starting at number 10 is Spring Valley. Spring Valley is a course that I enjoy because it's an overall good value and somewhat of a gem in my opinion. For the golfers who are looking to kind of graduate from that Muni golf course, because yes, it's kind of like Muni conditions, but the layout is a little interesting and some water comes into play. And I feel like water features are kind of missing from those basic Munis. And so, yeah, overall value for walking rate for Spring Valley is really good. Like I said, conditions not, always the greatest, but really good layout for the money. And my favorite hole is hole number 15, which is a downhill par 4 with a speed slot. So you can hit a pretty good drive if you hit that speed slot. And I have a core memory from like a viewer and a friend that I've met through the channel here. His name is Gierno. Pretty much he, knocked it in from like 100 yards out and made an eagle there. So I will never, that hole for always be remembered to me as the eagle hole, where Gierno holed out from 100 plus yards. So that is course number 10. All right, course number 9 is the Bridges. Pretty much the Bridges makes this list because it's a really interesting track course where you got to play a lot of target golf. Pretty decent value for what you pay for. You get a cart for like almost $100, but that being said, where it shines is its conditions. I think it's because sometimes it doesn't get a ton of play because it is pretty difficult. Like I said, courses that make you think all the way from tee to green, can sometimes be tiring to play and maybe not the most fun. I mean, me personally, it's kind of good to go out there to get to work on your distance control. I played a tee forward because it was the first time I played there. And my favorite hole there is hole number 10, which is a drivable par 4. It gets really narrow as you get closer to the green. That's how it protects itself from the bombers on the course. But yeah, I made a birdie there. So pretty fun hole for me, hole number 10 at the Bridges. So that's golf course number 9. So coming in at number 8 is Calipe. Once again, one of those good value courses. And if you can get on, which is maybe that's why it's not ranked as high, because it's hard to get a tee time there, which reflects on it being such a good course. It's a fun one where, it's always in good conditions from what I remember when I played it. Just the only problem that I have with it is that the pace of play on the back 9, and I think everyone knows exactly where I'm going to say it slows down. It slows down on the par 5 in the back 9 that you carry water into the green. There's people always trying to go for it in 2 and waiting for the green to clear. And I mean, rightfully so. It's a shorter par 5. But that hole and the hole before it, people are backed up for days. And so that's the only qualm I have with it. Other than that, it's a really good course, always in good condition, pretty good value. I wouldn't suggest walking it, but yeah, it's a pretty cool track for what it is, except for the 18th hole. The 18th hole, it's like 3 medium length par 3s, and it's like impossible. It's really hard to keep your drive in play. So Calipe makes it at number 8 on the list. All right, coming in at number 7, we have Santa Teresa Golf Course. Kind of one of those good value courses. Hard to get on because it's very popular and it's a good, in terms of the overall package, it's pretty decent. Good layout, decent conditions, relatively cheap, and it's a nice walk. And when you get views in the Bay Area, it's like nice hills. And so hole 11 and 12, it's kind of like a combo of my favorite holes. Is like a super sharp doggy right uphill par 5, followed by a downhill par 4 that you can see everything. So I like the combination of those two holes, and it makes it pretty interesting. But it's yet another good graduation course from like your typical Muni. And I say typical Muni as in like San Jose Muni, because San Jose Muni is I think it's one of the better courses to start your first 18 holes is at San Jose Muni. But Santa Teresa and even like Spring Valley, those are good graduation 18s where you can, get a little more variety, a little bit more difficulty, but not absolute butt kicking for all kinds of different reasons. So yeah, Santa Teresa is not the longest course, but a really good package overall in terms of value. They have a good driving range. They have good practice facilities, unlike some of the other courses. But yeah, it's pretty much got it all. So coming in at number 6 is Baylands. So I have not played Baylands for a long time. The last time I played it before this recent vlog I released was when it's called Palo Alto Muni, and I had a really good time. It was soaked, and yet the drainage was pretty decent to where it wasn't like miserable out there. So kudos to the groundskeepers there. And value, this is kind of wishy-washy because value that day, because I played during the week, was really cheap. So it's like 60 something bucks to walk. But on the weekends, they do, I guess, I don't know what it's called. Like they do dynamic pricing where the weekends are more expensive, and then it gets really expensive, and I don't think the value is there. So I think people have commented too, like weekend rate, not good. But when I played it, and that's what I do my ratings on, pretty good value on the weekdays. I think it's a good course to play, and it's the first link style course that I have on this list. My favorite hole here is hole number 12. It's a par 3, and when I was playing it, because there was so much rain, it was like an actual legit island green because it was surrounded by water. But I think when it's not raining, that whole water area is not filled up. But yeah, I had it pretty much all, like it was really good conditions, and all the greens were really nice. The greens were pretty good, and I can only imagine how difficult it is when it's like playing dry and like a link style course when it's windy. Yeah, it's probably pretty tough, but I had a good time. Wide open, you can hit driver and try to swing as hard as you want for days and you'd be okay. But yeah, good course overall. That comes in at number 6. All right, coming in at number 5 is a course I haven't played actually in a long time. It's Wente. So Wente is in Livermore. It's part of the winery that they have there as well. The food's really good at the Wente winery, by the way. The only thing that holds it back is that the value is not that great because it's so expensive. But if you have, the means to splurge, that's a good course to splurge on because it's a really cool track. Lots of cool holes, really good, valley vineyard views. But in terms of cool holes, like you have to take a golf cart because it's so crazy elevated. Some holes that you're just driving up this cart path up this hill for forever. Even to get to the driving range, it's quite the hike to get there. So they got all this land where they put this golf course, and it results in some pretty neat holes. When I played it, the greens were a little bit fried. This was in 2021, so take that for what it is. It's probably a lot better shape now, but yeah. Other than that, the fairways were in good condition. Everything's going to be in good condition. It's a premium golf course where you pay a little bit more money, but I think it's a really neat course. And if you're in like the East, wherever part of that bay you think Wente is, I think East Bay or like inland, I think that's a good option to check out. My favorite hole is hole number 6, which I think is a hilarious hole. It's a very narrow par 4 that's not very long, and I just think it's funny because I took driver and not knowing that how narrow it was towards the green, and I just piped it down the center, and it's like 15 yards across. It's not very wide at all, and my friends were making fun of me like, why'd you even take driver? You're such an idiot. But I like that hole, so that's one that I remember. But yeah, hole number 6 is funny, and I just took driver there, and that's my story behind that. All right, so now we're coming to the 4th course. This is Corica Park, the South course. So Corica, however you pronounce it, has been a staple in the Bay Area for a long time. It's always been ranked as one of the best public courses around. It's been featured in a lot of articles and magazines, and I would have to agree with the articles and magazines. It's got the whole package. It's got the practice range. It's got, chipping areas. It's got food. Apparently the food's pretty good. I need to try it, but it's got good conditions, interesting layout holes. It's got a little bit of everything for you and just a solid golf course. And I've had a good time every time I've gone out, and I've shot my best round there of 77 there. Unfortunately, I wasn't vlogging, but of course that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, Corca Park, the South Course, really good value. I really like hole number 15. Hole 15 is a medium length par 5, and like if you try to go for it in 2, there's a lot of sand traps short, but I actually got there in 2 one time, missed the eagle putt, but hey, I had a shot at it. But it's a really cool hole, makes you think, and all the cool holes there make you think from tee to green. Not as intense as the bridges, but definitely a good golf course, and I'd recommend you check it out if you can. Difficult to get tee times, and there's a reason for that. For course number 3, we have Poppy Ridge. So Poppy Ridge, and this is with an asterisk kind of, with the NCGA rate, it's a pretty good value in my opinion. You got 27 holes. The pace of play is always pretty decent. It is a pretty difficult course. Obviously, it's a sister course to Poppy Hills in Monterey. So if you have NCGA, try to get to both of these courses. I highly recommend it. But it has like a great facility for practicing, really good range and chipping and putting area. I haven't had the food here or anything, but for me, Chardonnay, there's a downhill par 3, hole number 3 that has really great views, and this is more vineyard hill, green brown hill views. But yeah, it's steep downhill hole, and you just hit away into this green that's super far away, and yeah, I think it's just a really good value when you have NCGA, and it's always in good shape. Most like the last few courses on this list are always in great shape. And so, yeah, this is pretty much number 3 is Poppy Ridge, all the 9s. All right, coming to number 2 on this list is Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Pretty much Cinnabar is kind of the course that I would personally take people to show people who are not from the Bay Area a good time. There is one caveat here, though, is that it's a pretty tough course. So with tough courses usually comes poor pace of play because people are falling behind or looking for their golf ball. Cinnabar Hills is no exception. But yeah, I just play at a tee forward, and yeah, it's a good time. Always in great shape, pretty decent value, and they have really good facilities there for practicing and whatnot. So yeah, Cinnabar Hills for the money, probably like one of the better experiences overall golf wise that you can have in the Bay Area. And this is where Bay Area gets kind of, the lines kind of blur because it's technically in Morgan Hill, and is that Bay Area? I'm technically putting it on the list, so yeah, sure. But yeah, that is number 2 on the list is Cinnabar Hills. All right, and coming to number 1, best course in the Bay Area for me personally, and this is Half Moon Bay. This is specifically Half Moon Bay, the ocean course, and I just played it, and I had a great time, and I think is personally, yeah, the best course in the Bay Area for me. I played it when it was soaked and wet, and the conditions were still pretty good, and the greens were all great. So I was impressed by that. The track is awesome in terms of not only the holes and the select, the holes that you play, but then also the views. And then on top of that, it's just like views. I think it's the course with the best views in the Bay Area personally. And so I didn't really think about it until lately that I didn't think views would matter all that much, but just think about Poppy Ridge. Poppy Ridge is pretty much Poppy Hills without the views, and for some reason everyone loves Poppy Hills so much more. To that extent, Half Moon Bay, all the views that you get on the course are awesome. And yeah, my favorite hole at Half Moon Bay was the 18th. Gotta love that. You're carrying a ravine, and there's pedestrians walking on, the pass there. You can just totally nail, but going into the last hole where I think it's the hotel, it just has beautiful views, and the conditions, like I said, is really good. And so, yeah, I think for me personally, the ocean course is the best in the Bay Area. So that all being said, I wanted to, talk about some caveats to this list. I have not played the Presidio, and I have not played Crystal, I think it's called Crystal Springs. So I think those are the only 2 that I haven't played in the Bay Area. And let me know if I missed any in terms that could, crack this top 10 list. Things that I know, I didn't include any of the Santa Cruz courses. Maybe that's more Bay Area than Morgan Hill. I'm not sure because that's Pasatiempo and De La Vega, but those two didn't crack my top 10 anyway. Surprising, yes, Pasatiempo didn't crack my top 10, but there's specific reasons behind that. One being the value is not that good to me personally. And yeah, like I didn't include anything from Monterey because Monterey is Monterey. It's not Bay Area. So yeah, didn't include the Santa Cruz courses. Didn't include didn't include the Monterey courses as well. But yeah, that's my top 10 list. Other than Presidio and Crystal Springs, I think I've played most of them in the Bay Area. Let me know what you think about this list. Am I way off base? Am I on base? Have you experienced similar, do you have similar experiences or sentiment with this list? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy that one. Keep chasing. We'll see you in the next one.